Welcome, everyone, to Midday Magazine for this January 3rd, 2024. I have your host, James J. Maloff here. We're about to spend the entire hour with our good friend, Sheriff Shawn Becker from Wood County Sheriff's Department. Sheriff, good to see you.
Good morning. Always a pleasure to be here, James.
And we have a good friend of not only yours and our station and our community, but Jordan is with us here. I believe you guys know each other.
Yeah, it's my daughter, Jordan.
Jordan daughter. Moon. I knew there was a connection.
I'm still not used to saying Jordan Moon now that she's been married, but Jordan grew up in Wisconsin Rapids, Lincoln High School grad, and now is a dispatcher, 911 dispatcher for Oneida County. But she still comes back quite a bit to Wisconsin Rapids area. A lot of still strong ties, like with the aqua skiers and the community. So she gets back quite a bit, and today was a radio show, and I did give her a 24-hour notice.
Nice.
Like,
that was nice.
She had the option, not like my dad. I didn't get any notice at all until we got in the parking lot. But no, I'm very proud of her, and I'm hoping to get our other daughter, Caitlin, on here too. But no, today I'd love to just brag about Jordan today, and and anything else comes up.
Appreciate that. And you know, Jordan, it's been a while since we were just talking in our pregame. It's been a while since you were on the air with us with the aqua skiers and that. How have you been?
Good. I actually ended up taking over the tournament. I'm the co-tournament director for the Wisconsin State Water Ski Show Championships now. Last year was our first year, and it was a really fun year.
Very cool. Yeah. You're, I'm sure, enjoying that. I'm very curious about the job that you're doing now, though, and how you're adapting to it, how you're enjoying it, the difficulties of it.
Yeah, so dispatching you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I started with Wood County in 2020, and then my husband got a job offer up in Crandon, and so we ended up there at Oneida. And I really do like it. You never know what's going to happen when you're there. It could be a quiet day. We don't say that word in dispatch. That's the unwritten rule. Or it could just be a crazy day of just nonstop calls and lots of things happening. It's very weather dependent.
Yeah. Oh, I imagine.
Especially up there.
It's one of those things that the sheriff and I and some others of our guests of ours we've talked about before, but I don't know if we ever really dive into enough and the important work and how vital that job is in the chain of events that, you know, with most situations that law enforcement or our medical or EMTs or anybody is involved in.
Yeah, we're really the first responders. We get the call, and without us getting the call, we can't get the help to you. So really, we are that first person that determines who's going where, and if it's medical, if it's law enforcement, fire, like we have to do a lot of quick thinking to get the right responders en route, and we have to a lot of times do medical instructions over the phone. Like I'll do CPR over the phone with people, and I mean every second counts in those situations, so you really have to be a quick thinker.
What would you say, and I imagine this is difficult to answer, but what would you say is the most difficult part of that job of being a dispatcher?
Yeah, I would say the most difficult part is, I mean, the multitasking is hard sometimes when there's a lot going on, but like the most difficult for me is just when someone doesn't make it. Like when you spend minutes on the phone with someone doing CPR and like they don't make it. It's sad, and or even just fatal accidents. Anytime someone dies is just not a great call.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're a team and we're all there for each other, and that's really important after a tough call to have your coworkers be like, you did a great job, and like ask you if you're okay. So that's good.
Yeah, that support, I imagine.
Yeah.
Especially from people that know what it's like. You know, it's one thing for me or your dad to empathize with it, but we don't know what that's like necessarily.
Yeah.
What is one? Now here's a part that we never get to ask dispatchers. What is something you enjoy about the job? What is one of the more rewarding parts of the job?
I think helping people. I really like being able to help people. It's very rewarding in that sense, and I enjoy, I guess, like even like yesterday I had to work, and like a little old lady called in that was just having difficulty with her TV, and just being able to just talk to her, and you could tell she was lonely, and just like being able to help her and make her day, like that always makes me feel good about just being able to make a little difference in someone's day.
Yeah. I imagine too having I don't mean that's not an important call, but maybe not as stressful call as some and everything. I mean that is nice too. That's a lighting of the day and a chance to kind of hang on to something good.
And just connect with someone in not a negative way of just it's just someone that's lonely and doesn't know what to do, and that's an easy call. I can walk them through that. Or even just like sometimes we'll get calls where we don't get all the information, and like we really are kind of investigators in there too. Like we do a lot of research and just trying to figure it out for our officers while they're en route to a hot call. If we don't have all the information, like just running the people and running them in-house, seeing what information I have, and maybe we didn't get a vehicle description, but I'm able to look through and be like, oh, this person drives this car, here's a possible plate. Like I always find satisfaction in that, and then ending up like that's the right information, being like, all right, like I was able to help them.
Chip off the old block, huh, sir? It's and I bring that up to a degree because any chance as parents, any chance to promote our kids, to brag about our kids, we are going to take it. I use every opportunity I can to brag about my oldest daughter or my youngest daughter or my son or any of this stuff. Yeah. And my kids, so all of my kids have gone into the arts in some way or another. Some more than others, and they followed through on that. That was something I pushed on them. In fact, I actually told them, please do not go into have a day job at all these things and stuff. But they followed their passions. They followed what was inside of them. You grew up in this family, in a police family. You've seen firsthand much more than most of us ever have, as far as your dad going on the job or not knowing if he was going to come home, or the fact that most of the time the people that he meets, he's meeting them on the worst day of their life or one of the worst days. All of that, and you still go into a job like this. Was this a calling? Was this something that you felt pulled towards, or you just it was in you? This is what you wanted to do.
Well, I started my career, I guess, like first career was I was a nonprofit for a while. I started with Special Olympics, and I absolutely loved that job, and planning events and fundraising. I was very good at it, and I really liked it, but in nonprofit, you don't make a profit.
Yeah.
So, and like when COVID started, I wasn't happy where I was, and it just wasn't a great, I wanted something more, and I wanted more of a career and better insurance and retirement and all those things. So I think I needed a change, and I don't know why I decided. I think one day I saw that Wood County was hiring for dispatchers, and I just brought it up, and he was like, yeah, that'd be a good, like, you should try it. And I think just having that reassurance, I was like, okay, like, why not? I had no idea what I was getting into, and it was very, very difficult. The training is very hard. Not everyone can do it. They say less than 5% of the world's population can do the job that I do.
I believe that.
To be able to come through at the end and, like, pass all of the training and be able to be a dispatcher, that was pretty intense and exciting. So I don't know if I stumbled into it, and I think maybe just because with Special Olympics, we work really closely with law enforcement. That's Special Olympics, that is part of the organization. So I had all of these law enforcement officers and dispatchers that I worked with. So I was like, oh, I like all of them. Like, it'd be fun to be part of their team. Yeah. So I think that kind of helped, and just the experience of my dad being in law enforcement kind of helped drive me there.
I really appreciate this, Jordan. I apologize for peppering you with questions right out the gate, but you knocked it out of the park. Nice job. Really nice job. And I think that the conversation ties into what we're going to talk about with Sheriff Becker as well, because, sir, I was just talking about being a dad and how I told not just my kids, I tell my students, the acting students I have and everything, you can follow your dreams, but have a day job. We want our kids almost wrapped in bubble wrap and to not have to worry about anything and for their lives to go so smooth and perfect. But when it comes to this, and she comes to you with a position like, hey, I'm thinking about getting into this. Yeah. And I'm sure there's a part of you that wants to, again, protect the kid, not have them have a difficult job or any of these things. But you're also supportive and encouraging. It's a tough balance to have, especially when you have the knowledge that you do of what that job entails. Right. So in that position, she comes to you like that. Are you dealing with all those different emotions, or is it right away your first feeling, no, this is a good fit for you, you should go through with this?
Well, no, it's her decision. And I never pushed or anything like that. It was, I think she laid the foundation perfectly with the position she had with Special Olympics. And of course, I'm going to brag about her, but I think if I remember correctly, for the polar plunge, I don't know what year it was, it raised the most money ever, in central Wisconsin, and that's her connections, that's her getting out and doing what she's supposed to do, but going above and beyond it. And I think that laid the foundation for her to not only she knew what I did, I do for a living, but now you get to interact with not just your dad, but so many other people that, it's not about the job, it's about what you do in the community and how you can not only make a difference when you're working, but off duty and making those connections, I think kind of laid at least the foundation for the interest in law enforcement. So very proud, of both daughters, because they're both connected at some level to what, my profession is. Caitlin being a social worker is dealing with, kids that need help. Jordan's a dispatcher dealing with anybody that needs help, taking those phone calls, 24/7 and getting that information out. I can't tell you how much, how important a dispatcher is, not just to law enforcement, but everybody else, fire, EMS in the community. They take the first call. And then they have to get that information out to whether it's a deputy or a police officer or fire EMS. That information has to get to us immediately. And, her interest was just, the connection with I believe, Special Olympics kind of gave that foundation. And then, hey, there was an opening. And she came up with the idea and, we talked about it and applied, and here we are. I didn't stick my nose into it. I made it very clear that, with Wood County, it's a little different than a lot of the other law enforcement agencies throughout the state, especially counties where dispatch is under the control of the sheriff's department. We're not like that. Dispatch is a separate entity of a department of the county. So she could work there. If it was under the sheriff's department, she couldn't because of nepotism.
Right, gotcha.
So the opportunity was there, and I made it very clear that, all right, it's yours. Let her rip. And she got through training, and she's right. It's not easy. I mean, the multitasking I think would be probably the most challenging for me, even because you got a phone call coming in, and then you're typing information in the computer. You're taking a break and getting that information out to whoever needs it, and then coming back to the person that it might be screaming in their ear, or could be a loved one screaming, "Hey, I'm doing CPR. I need to know how to do CPR on somebody." So you can just think of all that, all those tough calls that come in. But then, as she mentioned, which was really cool to hear, is yesterday a phone call from somebody that might just be lonely, but you still take the opportunity and time and talk to them. And try to help them out. So I mean, the position of a dispatcher, and I'm not just saying it because Jordan, is in the profession. It is the most important position in my opinion, for the law enforcement field. That's where we get our information and how important that is. And she alluded to it a little bit, but then you look at the officer safety considerations. You have to get that information out where you look what information is available in-house. Within the computer system within, that county or municipality. And then what else can you get? Because more is better for us, especially in those high-risk calls. And that's a huge part of what she does.
I think of chemistry often when it comes to the arts. I don't think of it very often in these settings, but it seems to be chemistry is very important for this, for dispatcher, officer.
No, it's called communication, and it's a system of a team that we're all part of one team together, and they have the most important part of it. And I'm very proud of the fact that this is a profession, not a job, but a profession that she wanted to join and be part of. Whether it's here in Wood County or up in Oneida County where she's at right now. She's part of the team, whether it's a couple hours away or right here. She did about a year here at Wood County. It was awesome to hear on the radio. You talk about those proud moments as a father, when you're in the squad car and you can hear, Jordan dispatching now, not just for me, but for whatever's going on. It was fun to, a couple of times I had the opportunity where I did a traffic stop and she was in dispatch and answered me. So that's pretty
awesome.
Cool.
That's got to be a really surreal, interesting moment for both of you, I imagine. That's very cool, too. And Jordan, I admire you, appreciate you. No way I could do the job you do. And thank you to you and the team over there, to all of our dispatchers throughout the whole state. But do say hi to your team for us and thank them for us. We appreciate you. I imagine our dispatchers have been pretty busy in recent weeks, months even. We have had a run of wrong way driving. And I know this because I saw a report on it on our news the other day, yesterday, that featured Mr. Becker here, who is constantly getting more and more TV time than I do. I'm the actor in the friendship here. I should be getting, you always do a great job with those, sir. But I did want to talk about that topic because I don't think it's one that we really face very often, no pun intended, but it's not one that we it comes up very often.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is, we didn't have a very, very busy holiday season, but we had a tragedy, up on Highway 10 just outside of Marshfield, where there was a head-on collision where we had a wrong-way driver driving on 10, and the other driver was passing a semi, so just pulled out, and it happened within seconds. And unfortunately, one person is deceased. A 25-year-old wasn't from the area. It was a really hard situation for us to investigate because we have to make that notification. We have to make that terrible phone call to the loved ones that somebody is not with us anymore. But the whole situation could have been prevented, and it's a good reminder. Well, it's a terrible reminder, to be honest, that we have this tragedy, and it seems like some of these highways that are divided, and they're two-way, they're 4 lanes, two going in the opposite directions, that sometimes people get confused, unfortunately. And, as a driver, it's your obligation to follow the signage. Our Wood County Highway Shop does an outstanding job providing as much signage out there. Same with Department of Transportation. It's just, be aware of your surroundings, no matter if you're from the area or not. It's your privilege that you get to operate a motor vehicle, and part of that is doing it safely. Because if you get confused, then you put somebody else's life in the line, and that's what happened here. And it's those harsh reminders when we deal with these kind of situations. As a driver, if you're on a 4-lane highway and it's divided, stay out of the left lane. Unless you're passing somebody or something. But the best advice, you can say just stay out of the left lane as much as possible. That could help. Obviously, keep your headlights on, especially during bad weather. But I know with the newer vehicles, the headlights usually stay on anyway. But make sure that they stay on. Yeah. And then if you see a wrong way driver, obviously do your best to avoid it. Call it in. Yeah. No matter where you are on the road, call it in, because hopefully we can have a law enforcement officer close by or get in the area, because we can, potentially prevent that tragedy. There's several reasons why people might be, in this kind of situation. Maybe they weren't paying attention to the signage, impaired, not paying attention. Maybe they're on their phone. But remember, as a driver, it's your duty, to make sure that you're operating a motor vehicle safely, because it's not about you. It's just about, it's more about the other people that are around you as well. And that's the tragedy that we're dealing with right now.
There is nothing in the Constitution or Bill of Rights that guarantees you to have a driver's license.
Right.
Like this is a gift. This is something that you earn, and you have to you consistently earn. You don't just get that license and okay, I'm good. Every day you're earning that license. Every day you are proving you deserve to have that license. Why do you think this is happening more, or has happened more, or statistic? Are we just hearing about it now, and it's been this way?
Good question. I don't know what more, we could do to. The signage is out there. Highway 10 has been completed for many, many years, but it just seems like we're getting that complaint called in where somebody is going the wrong way, whether from there or not. It's I don't. I'd like to ask them. What happened? What were you confused about? Why did you do this? It's not exclusive issue to Wood County. It's happening all over. That's why the advice and the reminders I gave are probably the ones that take home. I know the state tracks any complaints that come in through anywhere that there's a wrong way driver, especially on a divided highway, and they've been tracking Wood County, but they're doing it all throughout the state. And it's not exclusive to Wisconsin either. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And it really boils down to that driver paying attention. and knowing where they are and what the surroundings are.
Minnesota and Iowa have had a rash of this as well. Illinois has seen it, to your point. I actually, until I seen the interview with you on Channel 9, and shout out to them for the good reporting, it got me to go down a rabbit hole of that. And all of a sudden I was blown away. I was like, oh, this is going on in these other neighboring states as well, and they're seeing higher numbers than usual.
Yeah, Portage County had a fatality, but it was a little different where the roads were really bad. I believe it was on Saturday night. And driver lost control, slid across the median into oncoming traffic, was struck and killed. But it's still, you couple this issue with the time of year, it's always worth noting that, all right, we're into that winter driving months. What's the best common sense advice anybody can give you? And it doesn't have to be a cop telling you, slow down.
Yeah.
Take some extra time when we have the weather coming in, headlights on, and slow down.
I always think of it as not so much being a defensive driver, but an observant driver. Paying attention, just being in the moment, paying attention to what you're doing right now. You're driving a vehicle. Like, it's not the time to kind of just loosely pay attention to things. This is the time to be focusing. If you had a chainsaw in your hand, you wouldn't be looking at your phone while you're using the chainsaw. Like, treat it that way. It's important, and it's not just about you. I think you hit a really good point there, sir. It's important to, when you get behind the wheel, realize it's not about you. It's about you and everybody. You're sharing this with people.
Right. No, I agree with you.
Sticking with vehicles just for a second before we go to our first break, side of the road parking. This is a big topic any time of year, really, but it's always a big topic in the winter months, when we can park on the side of the road, when we can't. And this varies differently for counties, right?
Yeah, it does. I would always tell everybody, wherever you live, take a look at what the rules are for that municipality or township or village. It's all online. The rules are out there for a reason, mostly for plowing. For us out in the county, if somebody pulls over and they don't notify us and leave their vehicle, well, that creates a big issue for us, especially on a smaller township road or a county road. It's a driving hazard for everybody else. So let us know. We understand that people break down, and even if you have help coming, you should be calling us and letting us know. That's probably the common call that the sheriff's department would get. No, Wisconsin Rapids PD would probably get quite a bit more complaints on on parking, because right now during the winter months, hey, you can't be on this side of the street because we're plowing or whatever that reasoning might be. But the best recommendation I can give you is anybody, wherever you live, take a look online what those ordinances are and what the parking requirements are as well. WIRapids.org is the city's website here in Wisconsin Rapids. If you're curious about that, you can find out more as well by going to woodcountywi.gov, woodcountywi.gov. Look into that. It's not didn't take me a lot of heavy lifting to be able to find the information to that. So encourage people to go to, again, WIRapids.org or woodcountywi.gov. Take a quick time out. We'll come back and we'll have more conversation with our friend Sheriff Shawn Becker. Jordan is in with us and our friends at Wisconsin Rapids Community Media here on WFHR, where we are locally grown radio. Welcome back, everybody, to Midday Magazine for this January 3rd, 2024. I have your host, James, and we're joined by our Wood County Sheriff's Department. We have Sheriff Shawn Becker in, his daughter, Jordan, who is a dispatcher with with Oneida County. Yep. I get that right. And, of course, our friends Joe and the gang from Wisconsin Rapids Community Media. We say a big thank you to them for being here. Sir, I know that you bring a ton to the table whenever we get together. I want to let the floor is all yours. What do you got for us? Well, first, let's talk about Gary Plott.
Yeah,
Remember, we had him in last month, and thank you so much for giving him the opportunity to be here. That was special. Yeah. And so we wound up doing a police escort from his residence all the way to Lambeau Field. So the other counties that helped us out, and it was a couple weeks ago when the Packers played the Buccaneers, and we won't talk about the results of the game because this was a better moment anyway. So we got him to the stadium. A big shout out to Plover PD, Portage County, Wapaka County, Brown County, all helped us get him right to the stadium. He's the first one into the parking lot. Got him set up, and we tailgated, went to the game, and it was nice to see him. And a huge shout out to the the Packers organization, whether you're a Packer fan or not, they did it right. Mark Murphy came down during the tailgate and had a personalized football that he presented to Gary, and that was huge. And then they upgraded his tickets to a suite, so they really treated him right. And I got an opportunity to talk to the media there, and it's like, why would you help this person out? Why would we do this? I'm like, why wouldn't you? How many people do you know that have gone to 500 Packer games in their lifetime? I mean, and they're from Wisconsin Rapids. How lucky are we?
Yeah.
And I think his first game was in 1961, and he was 12 years old, and his dad took him.
Yeah, he's telling us about that.
Yeah. So it was a great moment.
Yeah.
And we got him there, and we had a great time, and I'm really happy for him. Gary hasn't been feeling very well. He's back in the hospital now, so thoughts and prayers are with you, buddy. We're thinking about you. You're in a good place to get some help, and hopefully he'll be home soon, so he can be resting at home where he should be.
This whole city is sending our love and support to you, Gare, and encouragement and hoping you feel better. And as you know, and our audience knows, as a proud Chicagoan and everything, it is very difficult for me to say this, but the Green Bay Packers is the best organization in sports. It's the best run organization. It's the best organization in sports. It just is. And stories like that are part of the reason why. That is really cool.
Are you just saying that?
I have to say it. I do not. I made a rule.
You're a smart man.
I made a rule many, many years ago that I would never lie to the audience, and so now that every once in a while that tests me on that one. It really does right there, it really does. But it's the truth. It really is, and it's because of things like that. And in all honesty, it's really actually not that hard for me to say it because it's fact. It really is in my brain. It's a fact. The way that they run that organization, as well as you can say what you want about the product on the field and all these other times. I'm talking about the way they treat their fans,
right.
And the way that they run not run the city, but the way they treat the city. The following vendors that for decades have stepped outside of Lambeau and serve things or sell shirts or anything. Right. They're the definition of how a sports franchise can be a positive for a community and really and make a whole state better because of it. And it's noteworthy too. I think that it's run by the organization is owned by the city. The people. I think that's noteworthy as well. So not easy to do, but it's factual to me. In my brain, it's factual, so I could do it. But
you sound like I believe you.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. It's a tough one. Don't put me on a lie detector on that one.
It'll be a big game this Sunday. The Bears could, play spoiler.
Should be an interesting one. Well, especially last year with Minnesota playing spoiler. I think that's probably in a lot of Green Bay heads. So and look at and the rivalry. I mean, it doesn't matter. Records don't matter.
Yeah, and the Bears are right there. I mean, they almost made it in. Even if they win, they won't. But still, it should be a good time.
Should be interesting.
I'm thinking about maybe trying to go. We'll see.
Right up.
They moved the game to a 3:00 game, so it's a little easier to get there, and it's not super late coming home. So we'll see.
I know that you I love to just keep talking sports with you, Dad. But I have my Melissa and some other people in my head. Get off sports. We got to get on other things.
I hear you.
I know that we got some other stuff I wanted to talk about there.
Yeah, we're hiring a new deputy. An opening came up, and we have a civil service commission that oversees our hiring process. That have a lot of local people that some of you have met. A couple of my mentors. Dave Loudy, Lee Garrels, Bob Lewandowski, Gus Mancuso, and Mike Myers. They're all part of the commission. Anyway, they established a list for us, and we didn't think we'd have an opening for a while. And then we just did have one up. And the funny part about it is who we're hiring is Ted Ashbeck Jr. You might be familiar with his dad. He's our jail captain. And it's a interesting story to bring up because we had talked about in the beginning of the show with Jordan how she kind of fell into being part of the team. I remember years ago when Ted Jr. was graduate high school at Assumption High School and going down to UW-Whitewater to continue his college career. And I remember Ted said, I'll never talk him into to get into law enforcement. I just remember having the conversation in the squad room, and I can't wait when we swear Teddy Jr. in to kind of give Ted Sr. some grief, because I didn't forget that conversation.
Right.
But no, Ted Jr. did an awesome job in college, came back to us with the interest in law enforcement, which is pretty cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
We hired him as a part-time deputy. We have a great program at the Sheriff's Department we had forever, and sponsored him through the academy here at Mid-State Technical College, and then Portage County hired him full-time. So he has about 10 months of full-time experience over at Portage County, and we have a great working relationship with Portage County Sheriff's Department. You brought up that teamwork approach. It just doesn't. It's not here by yourself. It extends throughout not only your neighbors, but throughout the whole state and beyond. And I let Sheriff Lucas know that, hey, Ted Jr. is number one on our list, and we're going to follow the numbers. He's number one, and we're going to give an offer. And I'm not trying to steal something from you, but it's reality of the whole situation. And it's like, okay, and Ted did decide to jump ship, as we say, and come work for our team.
Right on.
But still part of the whole team, and Mike and I can give each other grief back and forth, and maybe I'll try and steal another corrections officer or whatnot. But no, just a cool moment, and I'm looking forward to swearing Teddy Jr. in with his family, and giving Ted Sr. some grief.
Congratulations to him and the family. That's a very cool thing, and it also, maybe not on purpose, brings up a great topic, I think, too, that we are always looking for more and more people in these fields.
Yeah.
Good people to be able to do these jobs, be in these fields. More people for Sheriff Becker to poach. But seriously, we could really use more and more people in these fields, whether it is dispatching or it is something like this. Could always use more.
Yeah, I have to say that another mentor of mine, Kurt Hoyer, is overseeing the Law Enforcement Academy at Mid-State Technical College, and since he's assumed that role for his mentor, Clark Poggle, who passed, is a great man. I've seen numbers start to move up, where you're seeing more people interested in law enforcement, because we went through a really rough time, just trying to find people for dispatch, corrections, and in law enforcement positions. So it's really nice to see the numbers starting to go up. There was a recent academy graduation a couple weeks ago, and more than 2/3 of the class had jobs, which is cool. It's really nice to see that. One of the kids, I call him a kid, but Carson Juneman, played football at Lincoln High School, and it's just a cool story. Maybe we'll get him on the show. Towards the end of his football season, his senior year, he showed an interest in law enforcement. Just had that conversation. I just said, okay, this is what I would do. In your shoes, do you want to, go for a 2-year associate degree or 4-year? Of course, I'm going to push you to BSP because I'm a grad there, or Mid-State, because I get the opportunity to teach out there, and you have the local opportunity to get your education. But I said, you can go all over the state. There's a lot of other opportunities. Well, in the end, he stuck with it. He graduated at MSTC, and now is working full time for the Green Lake County Sheriff's Department. So.
That's wonderful. That's a really great to hear. I when you were talking about that, I was reminded of a student that I had. This is at least a year or two ago, but it wasn't that long ago. And she was at Second City, looking to get more comfortable with talking to people. She wanted to be in law enforcement, but she has a very difficult time talking to and interacting with people. She doesn't anymore. She's fine. She killed it. I actually wanted her to go into comedy and leave law enforcement because she's so funny, but. She in talking to her about this, and she's younger than you, Jordan. At the time, she's maybe 21, maybe 22, I think, at the time, and we were talking about it. And I think that, and I don't know if I don't have the numbers to back this or anything like that. Just talking to people, that rough patch you're talking about, I think. Not to say we needed it or it was a good thing, but I think oftentimes we need the darkness to get to the light. And that really brought a lot of things to the masses, to people, to society. And, okay, you don't like this in society. You can bark all you want, or are you going to do something about it?
Right.
And a lot of younger people these days, whether it is politics, it is law enforcement, or is anything, they are not waiting for us and our generations to move out of the way. They're just getting things done. They're just taking these jobs. They're just going into these fields. I want law enforcement to be better. Instead of just barking about it, I'm going to try to help make law enforcement better by being a part of it. And that's where she was coming from. I think that some of those numbers is where that's coming from. A lot of people just wanted to be not only a part of this, but be a part of the good.
No, I think it's a great point. You know, when you see some rough times, no matter what you want to blame it on in our profession, it happened. We keep our personal feelings aside and we move forward. And I think that, we're going in a good direction.
Yeah.
I really feel that way, just seeing the numbers increase over at Mid-State. And I know that that's happening at other academies as well. So it shows to me that interest in becoming, part of this profession at whatever level you want to be part of it, the opportunities are there and the interest is growing.
Again, congratulations to Ted Jr., to that family and everybody. That's a great story. That's great to hear
definitely.
about.
Next, polar plunge.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, just as we started the show off talking a little bit about it with what Jordan did and the money that she was part of raising. It's that partnership that law enforcement has with with Special Olympics. Why did they decide to do the polar plunge way back when? I don't know.
Yeah,
we could do something like a little warmer or whatever.
Yeah.
But
how about making cookies? What about that?
Let's raise money to do that, please. No, but other events have come up, like Run with the Cops and those kind of things. Yeah. But the polar plunge has been always that biggie. And, that's coming up February 4th. This year, I maybe I'll jump, maybe I won't. I kind of plan on it, but I told the team, Terry Johnson's doing an awesome job right now fundraising, one of our deputies, but I told the team, you guys raise $7,500, otherwise I'm not jumping.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We got about a month. So if you want to see me jump, I suggest that you take a look at our team online and donate, or get a bunch of people to donate. Otherwise, I might just have to sit this one out.
Take it off,
hey, so hopefully we'll get to that number. I've jumped, I don't know how many years in a row. It doesn't change. It's still cold. But it's always for a good cause.
I was curious about how many years it's been that you've been doing this. That's an interesting. You think of it, let me know.
I was in high school when you started.
And
it's been 11 years since I graduated.
Oh, okay. All right.
12, so.
Oh, I'm so glad you were here. We need to bring you in more. That's an interesting note right there.
I want to say 2009 was your first year.
I'm not sure.
I jumped a year before you started.
It was over at the Lions Club.
Okay.
I jumped with Kurt Hoyer, Randy Johns, and I think 2 other Rapids officers. And
It was 2009 or 2010.
Yeah.
The Special Olympics people are amazing. Getting to work with them a little bit, some of the best people I've ever worked with. I bring it up because I encourage people to work with them whenever they have an opportunity, or volunteer whenever they have an opportunity with Special Olympics. And certainly with the polar plunge, if you can be a part of this, we encourage you to, whether you can jump or donate. There are many, many ways, not just this time of year, but all year long, to be a part of Special Olympics.
Definitely.
Totally agree. And a great venue, too. I know it's moved around to other places, within the community, and they're all great venues. It's back now at Anchor Bay, and the owners there are doing a phenomenal job just supporting the cause. It'll be a great event.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. The Lure, so many other great places we've had this at. I love Anchor Bay. You can have a glass of water out there and enjoy yourself. Like the view, everything about it. I really do think it's a perfect venue for it. It's a nice place to have it. And shout out to them for hosting.
Yeah, we'll see if we have ice.
yeah, that part might be interesting.
I don't know what kind of modification they'll do, but we'll see. We've got to get some winter weather out there.
In our pregame, we were talking a little bit about this camera system that I was very curious about. Do you mind we dive into that?
Yeah, it's called a flock camera system. And last year we had a sales rep that represented the company do a presentation to all local law enforcement. I didn't really know much about it, or none of us really knew much about it. And really, it's a camera system that you put cameras throughout the community, out in the public, in busier areas, busier intersections. And then what the system does is information is put into it, such as I guess the best example I could tell you is like a stolen vehicle. Maybe it's from Oneida County. All right, they put the information into the system, and then if that vehicle with that license plate or description drives by the camera, law enforcement's notified. So it's all over the country. It's not. I don't want people to think, "Oh my gosh, this is just exclusive to Wood County." It's not. It is. And Jordan can talk about it on the dispatch, part of it, but it's throughout the state, throughout the country. We did, a recent situation locally. We had an individual breaking into cars, broad daylight. We had him on many different, surveillance camera systems, at Assumption High School in Nakusa, where this person would go in, either break a window of a car and steal things, or if somebody left their car unlocked, unfortunately, would go in there and take things. And it was going on for weeks, not just here in Southwood County, but all over. He finally got caught on one of these camera systems in Stevens Point. But that's just one example of, we would put the information in of what that vehicle is, and then if it would drive by this camera, it would trigger it, and then we'd get notified. I know California had a situation recently where there was a serial killer.
I've been having this all day, man. I hear you.
But I think, what he's doing is doing homicides of homeless people, and it was getting national attention, obviously. But this camera system is the one that helped them find the suspect. So there's a lot of value to these cameras, and I'm glad that we budgeted for it. We're having 5 installed throughout Wood County. Pittsville's going to have a couple. Nakusa, I believe, is going to have either 3 or 4, and then the city of Wisconsin Rapids is going to have up to 5 too. So it'll be a great addition to helping law enforcement, dealing with situations that I brought up, and other things too, like an Amber Alert. That information goes right into the flock system. A Silver Alert, it's reactive on the information you can put in there, but then it's very proactive in disseminating that information that they see it.
We continue to put more and more on our your plates, our share, our all of our police officers' plates, and with doing that, we do those things, but we don't add to pay or add to a lot of other things, or more manpower, more people, some of that stuff. Having an assist like this, something like this, is it feels like almost the least we can do in some ways, but also vital to this process. None of us want to live in the Wild Wild West. I love watching westerns, don't want to live in them. These kind of things help with that. I'm curious though, Jordan, how this can help dispatchers as well.
As a dispatcher in Oneida County, we do have the flock system in place, and I have access to it. It's very helpful that if we have a stolen vehicle or a Silver Alert or anything, like I can plug that license plate in and I can see which cameras is triggered in the state. Like, I think we had one instance right when we started using the program where I typed a plate in and I saw that it was in Wausau. And I was able to call the agency that had sent out the alert for this vehicle and let them know, because they didn't have flock yet, like, hey, your vehicle's down in Wausau, you might want to contact them. So I was able to help at least point them in the right direction. But it's very helpful, I think, just on our end too. You can see the actual vehicle too when it triggers the camera, so then we can have a picture of the vehicle and send that out to our officers so they can see it. You can tell them the make and the model of the vehicle, but if you can send them a picture and see their stickers on the back or what it looks like, that's even better when it comes down to searching for a specific vehicle.
Can't imagine. This was something, I don't know about this system in particular, but I know in the UK this was very big for, it still is, where there's cameras in a lot more places nowadays, and there was a pushback at first of a invasion of privacy or some of these things and everything. All these cameras are out in public. If you're doing something in public, there is no privacy. It kind of defeats the word privacy. I mean, it kind of does. And also there's something to be said for it. Don't be a knucklehead. I mean, don't be doing bad things. You don't have anything to worry about. Like, what do you care if a camera's rolling if you're not doing anything but just living your life? So these seem like only a positive, not only for you guys, but for us as citizens.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, it's not even just for crime. Like, if your grandparent or your parent walks away and they have dementia and they took the vehicle, like, it's used to help find them too. Yeah. So it's used in so many ways. So, I mean, for people that are angry with it, just think of it like, what if your grandparent or parent walked away? Wouldn't you want all the resources to try and help locate them safely?
Yeah.
This is kind of...
we would want you guys to have all the tools in your arsenal at your hands.
Yeah, and this is definitely another critical tool.
And another cool thing about this, as you guys are describing and talking about it, that I think is interesting, especially with technology, we're just figuring it out. We're just now knowing. Who knows what else can come from this? I always find that part interesting when it comes to stuff where we started having the internet on our phones to make it more accessible for the driving or this or this, and there's the billion of other things that they have been able to bring to us. A technology like this, we've only scratched the surface, I think, of what it can do. That's really interesting.
Yeah, no, you have to love technology, and this is a situation, that everybody's going to benefit from it.
We have just about 2 or 3 minutes left, sir. Anything you want to touch on there?
The jail,
Yeah.
still going well. A big shout out to our county board and everybody that's been part of the project. It should be done in about 10 months.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
As a kid growing up in construction too, it's always impressive to me when things are on time.
Yeah.
Especially when you throw a pandemic and all these other things in there. That alone is impressive.
Yeah.
A shout out to them and that work. For you and your team, is this starting to, you have a timeline, the 10-month situation? Mm-hmm. We talked about this before.
Yeah.
The training that goes on in there. Is there some training already happening?
Yeah.
Or
Ted's been doing an outstanding job with the leadership team back with our correction staff, just going back there, just visualizing it, because it's so different than what they're used to working right now, or what we're used to working right now. It's exciting, for me, just to talk about it and to see it come together, because we've been talking about it for years, and even before we met, we've been talking about it, or everybody has, for so long. Where it'll never happen. This, and I just give a lot of people credit in our community and county board for taking a look at this and moving forward. So 10 months will go by fast, but hey, get used to me talking about it. Sorry.
Yeah. And I'm going to be bringing it up if you don't, because I'm excited to part of it too. I think I'm just as excited for our community as I am for what this can mean for you guys and our officers, our police officers, and that you had me at safety from the day one with this topic. So that I'm very excited about too, and it's been a fun and exciting conversation. Jordan, thank you so much for stopping by. It was good to see you. Don't be a stranger, and more. Nothing but well wishes to you and yours going forward. Thanks for everything you've done. Appreciate you, Sheriff. Always good to see you, sir.
Hey, James. Thanks for putting up with my guest. Thanks for coming, difficult. Jordan. Love you. Really appreciate you. I'm very proud of you.
We always send a shout out as well to our friends at Wisconsin Rapids Community Media, doing amazing work in this community. Do yourself a favor, go to YouTube, subscribe to that page, and keep up to date on all the great work that they're doing over there. Appreciate you guys. We'll have more Midday Magazine for you tomorrow right here at 97.5 FM, 1320 AM, WFHR. We are locally grown radio.